My name is Ben Carter, and I'm a forest ranger stationed in the remote wilderness of Alaska. My job usually consists of monitoring wildlife, maintaining trails, and occasionally rescuing lost hikers. But my routine shattered the day I heard the whispers. Whispers of something unnatural lurking in the Denali wilderness, something the local Athabascan people called yaitsa, creatures of shadow and ice. Curiosity, that fatal flaw, gnawed at me. Against my better judgment, I packed my gear and ventured into the frozen heart of Denali, seeking the truth behind the legends. The journey was arduous. Blizzards raged, the wind howled like tormented spirits, and the icy terrain threatened to swallow me whole. But I pressed on, driven by a reckless desire to uncover the secrets hidden beneath the snow. Then I found it, not a nest, but a fortress of ice, sculpted into the side of a glacier. It pulsed with an eerie blue light, casting long, distorted shadows across the snow-covered landscape. The air crackled with an unnatural energy, a palpable sense of dread that sent shivers down my spine as I approached the icy fortress. Grotesque figures emerged from its depths. They weren't human, not entirely. Their bodies were a grotesque mockery of flesh and bone, their skin stretched taut over sharp angles, their eyes glowing with a malevolent intelligence. The yaitsa, the whispers were true. They moved with an unnatural grace, their limbs contorting at impossible angles, their voices a chorus of clicks and hisses that echoed through the frozen air. I knew, with a chilling certainty, that I had made a terrible mistake. I turned to flee, but it was too late. A towering figure emerged from the fortress, its form wreathed in shadows, its eyes burning with a cold, predatory hunger. The Alpha, it let out a guttural roar that shook the very glacier, and the yaitsa surged forward, their icy claws extended, their eyes fixated on me. The Alaskan wilderness has always been a place of both beauty and danger. I'd spent years patrolling its vast expanse, learning its secrets, respecting its power. I'd heard the stories, the legends of the Athabascan people, tales of spirits and monsters that roamed the frozen lands. But I'd always considered them folklore, cautionary tales to keep children in line. Now, facing the yaitsa, I knew the legends were real, and I was trapped in a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. My grandfather, a respected elder in the Athabascan community, had warned me about the yaitsa. He'd told me stories of their cruelty, their hunger for human flesh, their connection to the darkest corners of the spirit world. I dismissed his warnings as superstition, the ramblings of an old man. Now, I regretted my arrogance. I should have listened. The alpha yaitsa stalked towards me, its every movement radiating an aura of ancient malice. The smaller creatures circled me, their glowing eyes burning into my flesh, their hisses and clicks a symphony of impending doom. The icy landscape, once a source of solace, now felt like a prison, its vast emptiness amplifying my isolation. The cold seeped into my bones, numbing my senses, slowing my thoughts. I knew I couldn't outrun them. The yaitsa were creatures of ice and shadow, perfectly adapted to this harsh environment. My only hope was to find shelter, to somehow survive the night and find a way to escape this frozen hell. But as I scanned the desolate landscape, I saw no refuge, no escape. Only the endless expanse of snow and ice, and the glowing eyes of the yaitsa closing in. I was alone, hunted, and utterly terrified. The yaitsa attacked, their icy claws tearing at my clothes, their fangs snapping at my exposed skin. I fought back desperately, swinging my ice axe, landing a glancing blow on one of the smaller creatures. It shrieked in pain, its glowing eyes flaring with rage. But the wound seemed to close almost instantly, the flesh knitting back together as if it were made of liquid ice. The alpha yaitsa lunged at me, its massive claws raking across my chest, tearing through my parka and into my flesh. I cried out in pain, stumbling backward, the cold air burning in my lungs. I knew I couldn't win this fight. I was outmatched, outmaneuvered. My only goal was to survive, to somehow escape their clutches and warn others of the danger lurking in Denali. That I turned and ran, ignoring the searing pain in my chest, my boots crunching through the snow. The Yaitse pursued me relentlessly, their shrieks echoing through the frozen air. I could feel their icy breath on my neck, their claws reaching for me, their presence a suffocating weight on my soul. I stumbled and fell, my injured leg giving way beneath me. I landed hard on the ice, the air knocked out of my lungs. The Yaitse surrounded me, their glowing eyes burning into me, their hisses and clicks intensifying. I closed my eyes, waiting for the end, but then something shifted. The shrieks of the Yaitse turned to cries of alarm. The ground trembled beneath me, a low rumble that grew into a deafening roar. I opened my eyes to see a massive grizzly bear, its fur the color of freshly fallen snow, its eyes burning with a primal fury, charging towards the Yaitse. The bear swiped at the creatures, scattering them like bowling pins, its roars echoing through the mountains. The Yaitse, momentarily stunned, retreated, their glowing eyes fixated on the bear, their hisses and clicks laced with fear. This was my chance that I scrambled to my feet, my legs screaming in protest, and limped away from the battle, using the grizzly's intervention as my cover. I didn't understand why the bear had attacked the Yaitse, but I wasn't about to question my good fortune. I had to get to safety, had to warn others about the creatures of shadow, and as I stumbled through the snow, I realized the attack had left me more than just physically wounded. The encounter with the Yaitse had shaken me to my core, leaving me with a deep-seated fear, a chilling premonition of something darker lurking beneath the surface of this pristine wilderness. The legends my grandfather had told me, the whispers of the Athabascan people, now echoed in my mind, their warnings no longer just stories but chilling prophecies. The grizzly bear, I realized, was more than just a random act of nature. It was a guardian, a protector of the balance, a force that stood against the encroaching darkness. But what was the connection between the bear and the Yaitse? What ancient rivalry, what hidden history fueled their conflict? I found a small cave, a narrow crevice in the rock face, and crawled inside, seeking shelter from the biting wind and the haunting memories of the Yaitse. As I huddled in the darkness, I realized my curiosity had led me to the brink of death. I had sought the truth behind the legends, and I had found it, but at a terrible cost. I was no longer driven by curiosity, but by a burning desire for revenge. The Yaitse had taken something from me, something more than just my physical well-being. They had stolen my peace of mind, my sense of security, my connection to the wilderness I loved. And I would make them pay. Huddled in the icy cave, the pain in my chest and leg a constant reminder of my encounter with the Yaitse, I began to formulate a plan. Running, hiding, warning others. Those were no longer enough. I needed to fight back, to protect the land I loved, to avenge the terror they had inflicted upon me. But how could a single man, armed with nothing but an ice axe and a burning desire for revenge, hope to defeat creatures of shadow and ice? As I pondered my options, my hand brushed against something hard and cold within my pack. It was a small, intricately carved wooden box, a gift from my grandfather. He'd told me it contained a powerful charm, a protective spirit passed down through generations of Athabascan shamans. He'd instructed me to open it only in times of dire need, when the balance between the human and spirit worlds was threatened. That I hesitated. I'd always been skeptical of the old ways, the rituals and superstitions of my ancestors. But desperate times called for desperate measures. I opened the box. Inside, nestled on a bed of soft moss, was a small, obsidian arrowhead, its surface pulsing with a faint, inner light. As I held the arrowhead, a surge of energy coursed through my body, a feeling of power, of connection to something ancient and primal. Images flashed through my mind, visions of the Yaitse, their icy fortress, the grizzly bear guardian, and a hidden path, a secret passage leading to the heart of their lair. This was the turning point. The arrowhead wasn't just a charm. It was a key, a guide, a weapon. It showed me a way to fight back, a way to strike at the heart of the Yaitse, a way to avenge the terror they had inflicted upon me and countless others. The fear that had gripped me since the attack began to recede. replaced by a burning resolve, a cold, hard determination to make them pay. The hunt was on. The obsidian arrowhead pulsed warmly in my hand, guiding me through the treacherous terrain, leading me towards the hidden path revealed in my vision. The pain in my chest and leg was still present, but it no longer held me back. I was driven by a single purpose, a singular focus: revenge. The landscape shifted around me, the familiar trails twisting into unfamiliar shapes, the trees taking on grotesque, menacing forms. The air grew colder, the wind whispering secrets in a language I couldn't understand, but felt deep within my bones. The spirit world was bleeding into the physical world, the boundaries blurring, the veil thinning. I was walking between worlds, guided by the power of the arrowhead. Drawn towards the heart of the Yaitsu's lair, that I reached the hidden path, a narrow crevice in the ice, barely wide enough to squeeze through. The air within the passage was frigid, the darkness absolute. But the arrowhead pulsed with light, illuminating the way forward, guiding me deeper into the icy depths. I knew this was a dangerous path, a one-way journey into the heart of the enemy's territory. There was no turning back. I had made my choice. The consequences of my actions, of my thirst for revenge, were now set in motion. As I crawled through the icy passage, I felt a shift within me. The fear was gone, replaced by a cold, calculating rage. I was no longer the naive park ranger who had stumbled upon the Yaitsu's lair out of curiosity. I was a warrior, a hunter, an instrument of vengeance, empowered by the spirits of my ancestors, guided by the power of the obsidian arrowhead. The Yaitsu would pay for what they had done. They would pay in blood and ice. The icy passage opened into a vast cavern, the heart of the Yaitsu's lair. The air was thick with the stench of decay and something ancient, something alien. The cavern pulsed with the same eerie blue light I had seen from the outside, emanating from a massive crystalline structure at its center. The energy source. The Yaitsu were clustered around the crystal, their glowing eyes fixated on its pulsing light, drawing power from its depths. That I watched them from the shadows, studying their movements, their weaknesses, their connection to the crystal. The obsidian arrowhead thrummed in my hand, its energy resonating with the energy of the crystal, a connection that sent shivers down my spine. I understood now. The Yaitsu weren't just creatures of shadow and ice. They were parasites, feeding off the energy of the crystal, corrupting its power, twisting it to their own malevolent purposes. They were a disease, a blight on the land, and I was the cure. The pain in my chest and leg was a constant throbbing ache, but I ignored it. I had overcome my fear, my pain, my doubt. I had grown, evolved into something more than just a man seeking revenge. I was a guardian, a protector, a warrior fighting for the very soul of the wilderness. I knew what I had to do. That I took a deep breath, the frigid air burning in my lungs, and stepped out of the shadows. The Yaitsu turned, their glowing eyes locking onto me, their hisses and clicks intensifying, a chorus of surprise and anger. The Alpha Yaitsu rose to its full height, its shadow looming over me, its eyes burning with a cold, predatory hunger. But I didn't flinch. I held the obsidian arrowhead aloft, its light challenging the darkness, its power resonating through the cavern. I was ready. The Alpha Yaitsu let out a deafening roar, a challenge to my defiance. The smaller creatures surged forward, their icy claws extended, their eyes burning with murderous intent. But I stood my ground, the obsidian arrowhead my shield, my weapon, my connection to the ancient power of the land. I knew I couldn't defeat them in direct combat. They were too many, too strong. I had to use my knowledge of the cavern, of the energy source, to my advantage. That I backed away slowly, drawing the Yaitsu towards the center of the cavern, closer to the pulsing crystal. They followed, their movements cautious, their eyes fixated on the arrowhead, sensing its power, its connection to the crystal. I reached the crystal, its smooth surface radiating a warmth that belied the frigid air of the cavern. I placed my hand on the crystal, feeling its energy flow through me, amplifying the power of the obsidian arrowhead. The Yaitse hesitated, their advance faltering. They sensed the shift in power, the connection between me, the arrowhead, and the crystal. They knew, instinctively, that they were no longer in control. The Alpha Yaitse snarled, its eyes burning with frustration and rage. It lunged at me, its massive claws reaching for my throat. But I was ready. I raised the obsidian arrowhead, channeling the energy of the crystal through it, focusing all my rage, all my pain, all my desire for revenge into a single, blinding point of light. The climax was upon us. The fate of the Whispering Pines, the balance of the spirit world. Hung in the balance that as the Alpha Yaitse lunged, I plunged the obsidian arrowhead into the crystal. The cavern erupted in a blinding flash of light and energy, the air crackling with raw power. The Yaitse shrieked in agony, their bodies convulsing, their glowing eyes dimming as the energy of the crystal surged through them, overloading their corrupted forms. The crystal pulsed and throbbed, its light intensifying, pushing back the shadows, purging the taint of the Yaitse. The ice walls of the cavern began to crack and crumble, the very structure of their lair collapsing around them. The Alpha Yaitse, its form flickering and distorted, let out a final, desperate roar before imploding in a shower of ice and shadow. The smaller Yaitse, their bodies racked with pain, scrambled to escape the collapsing cavern, their shrieks echoing through the crumbling ice. But there was nowhere to run. The energy of the crystal, amplified by the obsidian arrowhead, was cleansing the land, purging the darkness, restoring the balance. One by one, the Yaitse dissolved into nothingness, their icy forms melting away, their glowing eyes extinguished, their malevolent presence erased from the world. The cavern continued to collapse, the ice crashing down around me, the air thick with dust and the smell of ozone. I stood at the center of the chaos, the obsidian arrowhead still embedded in the crystal, my body buzzing with the residual energy, my heart pounding with a mixture of triumph and exhaustion. I had done it. I had avenged my terror, protected the land, and restored the balance. But at a cost. The cavern collapsed completely, burying the remains of the Yaitse and the crystal deep beneath the ice and snow. I managed to escape just as the final section of the roof caved in, emerging into the blinding sunlight, blinking in the sudden brightness. The landscape had changed. The eerie blue light was gone. The air no longer crackled with unnatural energy. The Whispering Pines stood silent, their branches heavy with snow, their shadows long and still. The Yaitse were gone. Their reign of terror ended. The land was cleansed, the balance restored. But the victory was bittersweet. The power of the crystal, the connection to the spirit world, was also gone, buried beneath tons of ice and snow. A part of me mourned its loss, the loss of a connection to something ancient and powerful. That I returned to my station, a changed man. The encounter with the Yaitse, the journey into the heart of their lair, had left an indelible mark on my soul. I was no longer the naive park ranger who had sought the truth behind the legends. I was a survivor, a warrior, a guardian of the wilderness. I no longer dismissed the stories and whispers of the Athabascan people. I understood their wisdom, their respect for the delicate balance between the human and spirit worlds. I had seen the darkness, and I had faced it, and I had won. But the memory of the Yaitse, their chilling presence, their icy claws, would forever haunt my dreams. The Denali wilderness remained silent, the Yaitse a fading memory, a whispered legend. The grizzly bear, the silent guardian, continued its patrols, its presence a comfort, a reminder of the balance restored. I continued my work as a park ranger, but my perspective had shifted. I no longer just saw the physical world, but the unseen world that lay beneath, the delicate interplay of energy and spirit that connected all living things. The whispers of the wind, the rustling of the leaves, the silence of the snow, they all spoke to me now, telling the stories of the land, the stories of the past, and the whispers of the future. The wilderness holds secrets, whispers of the unknown, waiting to be discovered. But be warned, curiosity can be a dangerous thing. Listen to the legends, respect the ancient wisdom, and tread carefully in the spaces between worlds. What mysteries have you encountered in the wild? Share your stories, your experiences, your encounters with the unknown. The truth is out there, lurking in the shadows, waiting to be revealed. They called it the Devil's Playground, a stretch of Alaskan wilderness so remote, so unforgiving, that even seasoned rangers like myself gave it a wide berth. But the whispers drew me in, whispers of strange creatures, of unnatural occurrences, of the Yaitse, the ice demons of Athabascan legend. My curiosity, always my downfall, propelled me into the heart of the Devil's Playground, a decision I would soon come to regret. The journey was a brutal testament to Alaska's raw power. Blizzards tore at my gear, the winds screamed like banshees, and the treacherous ice threatened to swallow me whole with every step. Yet, I pressed on, lured by the promise of the unknown. I found it nestled within a frozen ravine, a structure of twisted ice and bone that pulsed with an unholy, violet light. It wasn't a nest, not in any sense I understood. It was a temple, a monument to something ancient and malevolent. The air itself vibrated with a palpable sense of dread, a chilling premonition of the horrors within. As I crept closer, drawn by a morbid fascination, figures began to emerge from the icy depths. They were humanoid, but twisted, their bodies elongated and gaunt, their skin a sickly pale blue, their eyes burning with a predatory hunger. The Yaitse, the whispers were true. They moved with a chilling grace, their limbs contorting at unnatural angles, their voices a chorus of clicks and whispers that grated on my sanity. I knew, with a sickening certainty, that I had trespassed on sacred ground, a place where humans did not belong. And then it appeared, larger than the others, its form wreathed in shadows, its eyes glowing with an icy fire that seemed to pierce my very soul. The Alpha, it raised its head, letting out a silent scream that resonated not through the air, but through my mind, a chilling promise of pain and despair. I turned to flee, but the icy ground beneath my feet seemed to grip my boots, holding me captive, a sacrifice to the ice demons of the Devil's Playground. Alaska had always been my refuge, a place where I could escape the complexities of the human world and find solace in the raw beauty of nature. I'd embrace the solitude, the challenge, the unforgiving landscape that tested the limits of human endurance. I'd even come to respect the ancient legends, the whispered tales of spirits and monsters that roamed the hidden corners of the wilderness. But I'd never truly believed them, not until now that my grandmother, an Athabascan elder, had warned me about the Devil's Playground. She'd spoken of a darkness that resided there, a malevolent force that preyed on the unwary, twisting their minds, stealing their souls. She told me stories of the Yaitse, creatures of pure ice and malice, guardians of a power that should remain untouched. I dismissed her warnings as folklore, the ramblings of an aging mind clinging to ancient superstitions. Now, trapped in their icy lair, I understood the true meaning of fear. The Alpha Yaitse fixed me with its burning gaze, its silent scream echoing in my mind, a symphony of terror that paralyzed me with dread. The smaller creatures closed in, their movements fluid and predatory, their icy claws glinting in the violet light. The Devil's Playground, once a place of awe and wonder, now felt like a tomb, a frozen wasteland where hope withered and died. The cold seeped into my bones, not just a physical cold, but a cold that touched my very soul, draining the warmth, the life from my being. I knew, with a chilling certainty, that I was not just facing physical danger, but a spiritual threat, a darkness that sought to consume me, to make me a part of its icy domain. I was not just a ranger lost in the wilderness. I was a pawn in an ancient game between forces I couldn't comprehend, a sacrifice to the ice demons of the Devil's Playground. The Yaitse attacked, their icy claws tearing at my flesh, their whispers invading my mind, twisting my thoughts, amplifying my fear. I fought back blindly, swinging my ice axe, the desperate blows connecting with the cold, hard bodies of the creatures, but to little effect. They seemed impervious to pain, their wounds closing almost instantly, their icy flesh regenerating with unnatural speed. The Alpha Yaitse remained motionless, its burning gaze fixed on me, its silent scream intensifying, a torrent of psychic energy that threatened to shatter my sanity. I felt my will weakening, my resolve crumbling under the onslaught of its malevolent power. I stumbled backward, my boots slipping on the icy ground, my balance failing that I knew I couldn't fight them, not physically. I had to find another way, a way to exploit their connection to the crystal, to turn their own power against them. I remembered my grandmother's stories, the legends of the Yaitse, and their dependence on the energy source within their lair. If I could disrupt that connection, perhaps I could weaken them, create an opening for escape. That I scrambled to my feet, ignoring the searing pain in my leg and the growing darkness at the edges of my vision, and ran towards the pulsing crystal, the Yaitse hot on my heels. Their whispers intensified, their claws tearing at my back, their icy breath chilling me to the bone. But I pressed on, driven by a desperate hope, a flicker of defiance in the face of overwhelming odds. I reached the crystal, its violet light bathing me in an unnatural glow, its energy pulsing through my body, a strange mixture of fear and power. This was it, my chance. That as I reached the crystal, a wave of dizziness washed over me. The whispers of the Yaitse intensified, twisting into guttural chants, invading my mind, trying to pry open my defenses, to seize control of my thoughts. I clutched the crystal, its cold surface burning against my skin, its energy flowing into me, a chaotic mix of power and fear. I realized the crystal wasn't just a source of power for the Yaitse. It was a conduit to another realm, a gateway to a dimension of shadow and ice that I saw visions flashing before my eyes, distorted landscapes, twisted creatures, and a dark, swirling vortex that seemed to beckon me, to draw me into its depths. I understood then that the Yaitse weren't just guarding the crystal. They were prisoners of it, trapped between worlds, their existence a twisted mockery of life. And I, by touching the crystal, had become entangled in their fate. The grizzly bear, the guardian of the mountains, appeared at the edge of the cavern, its eyes burning with a fierce light, its presence a beacon of hope in the encroaching darkness. It roared, a sound that echoed through the cavern, disrupting the Yaitse's chants, momentarily breaking their hold on my mind. The bear was trying to help me, to pull me back from the brink, to sever my connection to the crystal and the realm it guarded. But the Yaitse were too strong, their connection to the crystal too deeply rooted. They swarmed the bear, their icy claws tearing at its flesh, their whispers filling its mind, twisting its noble spirit, turning it against me. The complexity of the situation became horrifyingly clear. I wasn't just fighting the Yaitse. I was fighting for the very soul of the wilderness, against a force that threatened to consume us all. That I asked the grizzly bear succumb to the Yaitse's influence, its eyes turning a chilling, icy blue. I knew I was truly alone. The whispers intensified, their chilling pronouncements echoing in my mind, promising power, knowledge, and eternal life in exchange for my soul. The vortex within the crystal pulsed and swirled, its pull becoming irresistible, drawing me closer, promising to merge me with the icy darkness, to make me one with the Yaitse. That I closed my eyes, bracing for the inevitable, the surrender to the chilling embrace of the void. But then, a memory flashed through my mind, my grandmother's face, her wise eyes, her gentle touch, the warmth of her love. She had warned me about the devil's playground, about the darkness that resided within, but she had also taught me the strength of the human spirit, the power of resistance, the enduring flame of hope that could burn even in the darkest of nights. That I opened my eyes, the memory of my grandmother fueling a newfound resolve. I would not surrender. I would not become another victim of the Yaitse. I would fight, not for revenge, but for survival, for the memory of my grandmother, for the love of the wilderness she had instilled in me. I focused all my will, all my remaining strength, on the obsidian arrowhead I still carried in my pocket. My grandfather's last gift. I hadn't realized its significance before, but now, in this desperate moment, I understood that I pulled the arrowhead from my pocket, its smooth surface cool against my skin. As I held it, a surge of warmth spread through my body, a feeling of connection, of belonging, of the enduring spirit of my ancestors. This was the turning point. I was no longer a victim. I was a warrior. The arrowhead wasn't just a trinket. It was a weapon, a symbol of defiance, a key to unlocking the power within me. The obsidian arrowhead pulsed with a warm light, pushing back the chilling whispers of the Yaitse, strengthening my resolve, clarifying my purpose. I understood now what I had to do. The arrowhead wasn't meant to be used against the Yaitse directly. It was meant to sever their connection to the crystal, to disrupt the flow of energy that sustained their corrupted existence. That I raised the arrowhead towards the crystal, its light intensifying, resonating with the crystal's energy, creating a bridge between the human and spirit worlds, a conduit for the power of my ancestors. The Yaitse sensed the shift in energy, their whispers turning to shrieks of alarm, their icy forms flickering and distorting as their connection to the crystal weakened. The grizzly bear, still under the Yaitse's influence, lunged at me, its icy claws tearing at my arm. I cried out in pain, but I didn't falter. I plunged the arrowhead into the crystal, severing the connection, disrupting the flow of energy. The cavern plunged into darkness, the violet light extinguished, the whispers silenced. The Yaitse shrieked in agony, their bodies dissolving, their icy forms melting away like shadows in the dawn. The grizzly bear collapsed, its icy eyes fading back to their natural brown. The malevolent influence lifted. It looked at me, a flicker of recognition, of gratitude, in its eyes before lumbering away, disappearing into the darkness. The consequences of my actions were immediate and profound. The Yaitse were gone, their reign of terror ended. But the crystal, the gateway to the other realm, remained, its power dormant, waiting to be awakened. I knew I couldn't leave it there, couldn't risk its power falling into the wrong hands. I had to find a way to destroy it, to seal the gateway forever. The cavern was silent, the only sound the drip of melting ice. The darkness was absolute, broken only by the faintest glimmer of moonlight filtering through the cracks in the ceiling. I stood there, the obsidian arrowhead still clutched in my hand, my body aching, my mind reeling from the ordeal. I had faced the Yaitse, witnessed their power, and survived. But the battle was far from over, that I knew I couldn't destroy the crystal with brute force. Its connection to the other realm made it impervious to physical damage. I had to use the arrowhead, the conduit to my ancestral power, to unravel its energy, to dissipate its connection to the other side. I approached the crystal, its smooth surface now cold and inert, its violet light extinguished. I placed the arrowhead against the crystal, feeling a faint pulse of energy, a connection forming between the two objects, between the human and spirit worlds. That I closed my eyes, focusing my will, my intent on the arrowhead, drawing on the strength of my ancestors, channeling their wisdom, their knowledge of the ancient ways. I felt a surge of power flowing through me, through the arrowhead, into the crystal. The crystal began to glow, not with its previous violet light, but with a warm, golden light, a light that felt familiar, comforting, protective. The glow intensified, spreading through the cavern, pushing back the darkness, filling the space with a sense of peace and tranquility. I understood then that I wasn't destroying the crystal. I was transforming it, purifying it, restoring its natural balance. I had overcome the darkness, not through brute force, but through understanding, acceptance, and connection. I had grown, not just as a ranger, but as a human being connected to the land, to the spirits of my ancestors, to the very essence of the wilderness. I was no longer just a survivor. I was a guardian, a protector, a healer. I asked the crystal pulse with the golden light. The cavern began to change. The ice walls melted away, revealing the natural rock beneath, adorned with ancient carvings, symbols of a forgotten language, a testament to the deep connection between the human and spirit worlds. I realized that the Devil's Playground wasn't a place of evil, but a place of power, a sacred site where the veil between worlds was thin, where the energies of the earth and the spirit realm intertwined. The Yaitse, I understood now, weren't inherently malevolent. They were corrupted by their connection to the crystal. Their icy forms a reflection of the imbalance they had caused. By purifying the crystal, I had not only destroyed them, but I had also freed them, released them from their icy prison, allowing their spirits to return to the other realm. The grizzly bear reappeared, its eyes now clear and bright, its movements fluid and graceful. It approached me, nuzzling its head against my hand, a silent gesture of gratitude, of understanding that I knew I had to protect this place, to ensure that the balance I had restored would not be disrupted again. I had to share my knowledge, to teach others about the true nature of the Devil's Playground, to dispel the fear and superstition that had surrounded it for centuries. The expedition team, alerted by the sudden energy surge, was on their way. This was my chance to show them the truth, to reveal the secrets of the cavern, to enlist their help in protecting this sacred site. The climax was approaching, a confrontation not with monsters, but with ignorance and fear. I had to be ready. I had to be strong. The expedition team arrived, their faces a mixture of awe and apprehension as they took in the transformed cavern, the golden light emanating from the crystal, the ancient carvings on the walls, the grizzly bear standing beside me. I explained everything: the Yaitse, the crystal, the other realm, the connection between the human and spirit worlds. I told them about my grandmother's stories, the wisdom of the Athabascan people, the importance of respecting the balance of nature. Some were skeptical, dismissing my story as a hallucination, a side effect of exposure and trauma. Others were open-minded, intrigued by the evidence before them: the transformed cavern, the peaceful presence of the grizzly bear. The leader of the expedition, a seasoned scientist, approached the crystal, his hand outstretched, his eyes filled with a mixture of curiosity and caution. As his hand touched the crystal, a wave of energy pulsed through the cavern, a gentle ripple that resonated with the golden light. The scientist gasped, his eyes widening in surprise as he felt the connection, the flow of energy between the crystal and the spirit world. He turned to me, his skepticism replaced by a newfound understanding, a dawning realization of the truth in my words. But then a member of the security team, driven by fear and mistrust, raised his weapon, aiming it at the grizzly bear. The bear roared, a deep rumble that shook the cavern, its eyes flashing with warning. The tension in the air thickened, the fragile peace threatened by the ignorance and fear of one man. I stepped forward, placing myself between the bear and the security team, my hands raised in a plea for peace, for understanding. This was the true climax, not a battle against monsters, but a battle against the darkness within ourselves, the fear of the unknown, the resistance to change. That I spoke to the security team, my voice calm and steady, explaining the bear's role as a guardian, its connection to the spirit world, the importance of respecting its presence. I appealed to their reason, their sense of wonder, their connection to the wilderness they were sworn to protect. The leader of the expedition added his voice, confirming the scientific evidence, the undeniable energy readings, the transformative power of the crystal. Slowly, reluctantly, the security team lowered their weapons, their fear giving way to curiosity, to a dawning understanding of the extraordinary events they had witnessed. The expedition team, now united in their awe and respect for the sacred site, began to document the cavern, its carvings, the crystal, the energy it radiated. They worked alongside the grizzly bear, a silent partner in their exploration, a testament to the possibility of coexistence between humans and the creatures of the spirit world. The Devil's Playground was no longer a place of fear and darkness, but a place of wonder and learning, a testament to the interconnectedness of all living things. The Yaitse, though gone, had served their purpose, their presence a catalyst for change, a reminder of the delicate balance that must be maintained between the human and spirit worlds. I had not only avenged the terror they had inflicted upon me, but I had also brought about a greater understanding a deeper respect for the wilderness and its hidden wonders. My journey had come full circle, from curiosity to fear, from revenge to understanding, from darkness to light. The Devil's Playground became a sanctuary, a place of study and contemplation, protected by the rangers and the Athabascan people, its secrets shared with those who sought knowledge and understanding. The grizzly bear remained, a silent guardian of the sacred site, a symbol of the balance restored. And I, forever changed by my experience, continued to walk the paths of the wilderness, listening to the whispers of the wind, the secrets of the earth, the wisdom of the spirits, a bridge between worlds. The wilderness holds more than just trees and rocks and rivers. It holds secrets, mysteries, and connections to worlds beyond our comprehension. Listen to the whispers of the wind, the stories of the land, the wisdom of the elders. Open your mind to the possibilities, and perhaps you too will discover the magic that lies hidden in the spaces between worlds. What unexplained wonders have you encountered? Share your stories, and let's explore the mysteries together.